Imagine you cast your bait out and you feel a tug almost immediately. Imagine if I told you this is because your bait selection was perfect. Hi, my name is Zander Merchant, and in this speech, I'll be informing you about the science behind bass fishing and bait selection. Starting with how the bass feed, and then their diets, and the bait types you will need, what affects your bait selection, and the techniques that are needed to survive a day on the water with many fish. First, understanding bass feeding behavior. Bass eat anything you put in front of their face. This includes their diet, which is crustaceans, frogs, little fish, and even worms. They also use their senses, which is their main hunting technique. They use their eyes, first of all, and their lateral line on the side of their body to detect tiny little movements in the water and temperature changes. So what types of baits will you need? Should you go with a more natural bait, or should you go artificial? So natural or worms, anything they eat naturally is what we categorize as natural baits in bass fishing. The best way to fish with them is to put them on a hook, cast them out with a bobber, and just let it sit there. Artificial baits, which include baits like topwater poppers, which are the most effective in my opinion for topwater. But if you get around lily pads, you may want to try a topwater frog. Next is crankbaits for artificials. Crankbaits are extremely effective for low in the water column, medium in the water column, and really shallow in the water column. Anywhere in the water column, if you want to catch a bass, cast a crankbait. This is why it is important to have a variety of crankbaits in your tackle box. Next is soft plastics, which includes Senkos and twister tails. Senkos are best fished with a Texas rig, which to rig a Texas rig, you put the hook through like that, and then that, and you just expose the hook a little bit and then put it back into the bait. You will want a bullet weight to go on the line before you tie the knot. But if you want a bigger presentation like this is a jig. You cast it out, let it sink all the way to the bottom and pop it off the bottom, or just drag it really slowly. But if you would like to go faster, you'll want a chatterbait, which looks like this. A chatterbait, you reel fast through the water, and then this little blade wiggles really fast, making a loud noise and flashing, which goes back to that lateral line, which helps them detect the vibrations in the water, and their eyes, which help them see the flashes. So what factors affect which baits you will want on which day? These factors could be the water temperature. Is it hot out, or is it like really cold? Bass usually like it somewhere in the middle. Is the clarity like clear, where you will want a more natural presentation or a darker presentation? Or is it really murky, where you'll want a brighter, maybe chartreuse presentation? Is the time of day right? I will catch tons and tons of bass in the morning and evening, but I can never catch it in the afternoon because bass fishing slows way down from about 11:30 to 4 in the evening. The bottom line is you just got to experiment with these baits and talk to your local fishermen, see which baits work best for your local lake. In conclusion, I discussed how bass feed and some of the patterns they follow. I discussed their diet and what types of baits you will want. I discussed some factors that may affect how you choose which bait to cast, and I gave you 2 extra tips, which include experiment with the baits and talking to the locals. So bass fishing is not all that hard, but in order to be a successful bass fisherman, you must have patience and just go experiment and catch some big bass.